first is a pretty simple one. It's easy, there's no GDL required. You simply pick a light source from the lamp selections or settings under electrical, and then you can select things like IES light, parallel light, spotlight, others. Place that in plan, coordinate that with the light, select it, group it together, and you can work with it that way. That's easy. The problem with it is you can't save it to the favorites. If you wanted to put it in your library, you can't because the light and the object are separate. If you export it to a third-party renderer, it may have issues as well because they're separate elements. And importantly is the fact that if you're importing a curved surface like this is showing here, you've got that issue of the messy 2D graphics and 3D model. Now the other option or a problem, of course, or I should say the other option, is to add light using GDL. That's programming, coding on the back end. I'm not even going to go into what that would take because it's a lot of work and you really need to be an expert to do that. I don't see this very often, but this is a definite ability to do that. But again, to add the light to the object is really, really difficult to make it one cohesive object. And that's the problem we're solving today with ModelPort. So let me describe the options using ModelPort. They're very easy to add that light and then be able to use it as one object in Archicad. So ModelPort also has two options in terms of importing objects, right? As I described earlier. First is to go download that object from the 3D warehouse, wherever you might want to download it from. If the file format is supported in ModelPort, go to Open 3D Model, bring that in. The other option is to use import from Archicad. So as I talked about earlier, let's say for example you've downloaded a Revit format from BIM Object, very popular source for manufacturer objects. It only has a Revit object there, maybe a Rhino 2, maybe a MicroStation, but you're really thinking, well, maybe Revit would be best. So you download that, you import that from you download that, and then you bring that into Archicad and place it into Archicad. Once you've done that, you can use the import from Archicad option in ModelPort to bring that into the ModelPort editing environment. But what you figure out once you've placed it in Archicad and you view it in the Archicad 3D window is that the light's upside down. And this is something that happens very commonly. You bring a model in from even sources like BIM Object, which are very trusted, very good, but manufacturer forgot to turn the object the other way. it's on the floor, and that top should be on the little holder for the attachment for the light for the ceiling should be the opposite. So you need to transform it and turn it upside down. So we're going to bring that into ModelPort, select it. We're going to select that import from Archicad. In ModelPort, we're going to select the -Z up. You can see it in the bottom right corner. Once we've done that, then we're able to then add light to this as well. So what we're going to do is the next step, we're going to actually use the first light I talked about. And now we're going to attach or change the subtype of it. So up till today, if you were using ModelPort and you imported an object, it was always an object, okay? It would appear in the object settings. Starting today, you can choose that subtype option, change it to a lamp, and now it will appear as it shows in the bottom left there of these images. In the tool settings, you double click that lamps tool, it opens up the lamp settings, and now you'll see the light as a real light. And so also, because you've changed the subtype, it now enables you to add a light. So previously, if we right-clicked add item, it would be material. Now we can add a light. So now we add that light. It's positioned, at the top of the light originally, and then we just kind of moved it down using the reposition option there, and position it to the place we want it to be. Then we need to edit the light type and its parameters. So by selecting the light in the items list, we go down to the light options there in the properties. And now we can select the type to be point, directional, spot, or general. And by doing that, we can change the type of light it is. And then we can control information such as color, shadow casting, radius, alpha, beta, angle fall off, the distance 1 and 2 of the light, and then distance fall off. All this would have been impossible to control within the object before without doing GDL. Now we have one object, we can save it to favorites, we can put it in our office library, and we no longer have to worry about it just being an object that has no light information. It's now a true light that when we do a rendering is going to look like this. This rendering was created using the internal Cineware by Maxon's standard rendering engine. As you can see, the light is casting like you would typically expect it to, right onto the counter, onto the floor, creating the space, lighting it up. And that's the whole point here. It's a really nice way of doing this.